Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. In our last discourse, we read about the narrative of the solar and the lunar lines of the kings, and a few anecdotes such as how Narada, why he had to be born twice. And we'll go on to chapter 2. King Janamejaya said, "O highly fortunate one, kindly narrate in detail the spread of the families of those kings in the solar line who were born and who were especially endowed with the knowledge of Dharma." Vedavyasa said, "O Bharata, I now speak to you exactly what I heard in Yor from Narada, the best of the rishis, how the solar dynasty was spread. Once on an occasion, Muni Narada, on his tour, came at his will to my holy hermitage on the beautiful banks of the Saraswati River. On seeing him, I bowed down at his feet and then remained standing before him. I then gave him a seat and worshipped him with great esteem. I then said to him, 'O best of the Munis, you are worshipped by the whole universe. My retreat is sanctified by your coming. O all-knowing one, kindly narrate the histories of the kings that were famous in the family of the seventh Manu.' They were unequaled as far as their origin was concerned, and their characters as well were wonderful. Therefore, I'm very eager to know in detail the history of the solar race." O Muni, described shortly or in detail as the circumstances may require. When I made this question, Narada, the knower of the highest reality, gladly smiled and addressing me began to describe the history of the solar race. Narada went on to say, "O son of Satyavati, the history of the royal families is very holy and pleasant to hear. The more so when they are heard, one acquires dharma and wisdom. Therefore do you hear. In ancient times, Brahma sprang from the navel lotus of Vishnu and created the world. This is well known in every Purana. That self-born, all-powerful, all-knowing, the ruler of all, the universal soul, practiced tapas in ancient times for ayuta, which is 10,000 years. By the virtue of the tapas, he got special powers to create the world. He meditated on the auspicious mother, and getting from her the excellent powers, he created first the mind-born sons, all endowed with auspicious signs. Of them, Mirachi became well known in this act of creation. His son Kasyapa was respected by all, and he was of great celebrity. He had 13 wives, all daughters of Daksha Prajapati. The Devas, Dayatas, Yakshas, Panagas, beasts, and birds all sprang from him. Therefore, this creation is called Kasapi creation. Amongst the Devas, the sun is especially famous. His other name is Vivasvan. His son was named Vivasvanvat Manu. He was a famous king. Besides, Manu had 9 more sons. Isvaku was the eldest. Their names are Nabhaga, Drusta, Saryati, Nirasyanta, Pransu, Nirigra, Dista, Karusa, and Shradra. Isvaku, the son of Manu, was firstborn. He had 100 sons, and the Vivuki was the wise and the eldest of these. I'm now narrating you how the 9 born sons afterwards of Manu spread their families. Ambarisa was the son of Nabhaga. He was very truthful, powerful, and religious. He also governed his subjects justly. Darstaka was the son of Drusta. Though he was a Ksatra, he attained to Brahmahood. He was naturally weak in fighting. Always he was engaged in the works relating to the Brahmanas. Anarta was the well-known son, and Sukanya was the beautiful daughter of Saryati. The king, Saryati, gave his beautiful daughter in marriage to the blind Chivana rishi. But the rishi, though blind, got his beautiful eyes again by the good character of the daughter. He heard that the Ashvins, the twins, the sons of the sun, gave him back his eyesight. King Janamejaya interrupted and said, "O Brahmana, how is it that the king Saryati married his lovely-eyed daughter Sukanya to the blind Chivana Muni? I've got a great doubt in this point. The king gives his daughter in marriage to a blind person if she is not well qualified, but the daughter in this case was beautiful. How then Saryati, the chief of the kings, gave over his daughter, knowing that the rishi was blind?" O Brahmanan, I am always an object of favor to you, so explain me the cause of this. Glad to hear these words of Janamejaya, the Muni Vedavyasa smilingly said, Saryati, the son of Vaishvata, had 4,000 married wives. All of them were endowed with auspicious signs and beautiful. All of them were daughters of kings. They all were very obliging and dear to their husband. But out of all these, the king only had one daughter who was exceptionally lovely and beautiful. The father and all the mothers loved exceedingly that sweet smiling daughter. Not very far off the city was a beautiful lake of clear waters, like the Mansarava lake. A ghatway, steps made of stones, descended into the lake. Swans, karandavas, and other beautiful birds used to play on that water. 5 varieties of lotuses were there in full bloom. Bees were humming there all around. Various trees were there. Banyans, peepals, kandamba, rows of banana trees, dates, panasas, betel nut trees, coconut trees, and other various beautiful trees encircled around the lake. Within these, the creepers and shrubs were seen, beautifying the scenery. Especially there were amongst them jack trees, mango trees, tamarind trees, nema trees, bel trees, and amalaki trees. And peacocks were sounding their notes, cuckoos were cooing their beautiful voices. Close to the place there was in a sacred grove covered over by trees. Staying there, Chivana Muni, the son of Brigu, of a tranquil mind and the chief of the ascetics, thinking the place lovely and free from any obstacles, the Muni took his firm seat there and, collecting all his thoughts within himself, took the vow of non-speaking and, controlling his breath, became engaged in practicing tapasya. Restraining his senses and foregoing eating and drinking, that Muni constantly meditated on Bhagavati of the nature of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. O king, while he was thus meditating, the anthill grew up around and covered his body, and nice creepers covered that also all around. O king, long intervals passed away, and it was covered over with ants, so much so that the intelligent Muni was covered entirely and looked like a heap of earth. O king, once the king, Saryata, wanted to play in the wilderness and came there to the lake with his wives. Saryati became at once deeply engaged in playing in the clear waters of the lake surrounded by the beautiful females. On the other hand, the quick, beautiful daughter, Sukanya, picking up flowers here and there with her companions, also began to play. Dressed in ornaments, Sukanya walked to and fro, her anklets making a beautiful tinkling sound, till she came to the hill of Chivana rishi. She spiritedly sat close to that anthill and instantly saw a shining substance inside there, like fireflies. What is that, she thought, and wishing to take it, took a thorn and became very eager to prick it. Slowly she went close to it, and no sooner she got ready to prick it than the Muni saw the beautiful good-haired daughter as if of one's liking. The ascetic Muni, seeing that auspicious nice lady with nice teeth, spoke out in feeble voice, "What are you doing, O thin-bellied one? I am an ascetic. Better go away from here. You have got such big eyes, yet you do not see me. I therefore forbid you, in this attempt, do not pierce the ant-hill with a thorn." Though prevented, the daughter could not hear his words, and asking, "What was that?" pierced his 2 eyes with thorns. Thus impelled by fate, the princess sportingly pierced his eyes, but she suspected and thought, "What have I done?" Thus becoming afraid, she returned from that spot. His 2 eyes being pricked, the great Muni, exceedingly pained, became very wrathful. He incessantly gave vent to sorrows and remorse, being restless with pain. At that instant, it happened that the king, ministers, and soldiers, elephants, horses, camels, so much so that all the beings that were there had all their evacuations, passing their urines and feces, stopped. Seeing this happened all of a sudden, the king Saryata was very much pained and became very anxious. All the soldiers came to the king and informed him of the stoppage of their evacuation. The king thought over the cause why this has happened. Cogitating thus, the king returned home. Becoming very much troubled with cares and anxieties, he asked his soldiers and kingsmen, "Who amongst you has done such a heinous act? On the west side of the lake, the Maharishi Chirvana is practicing the great tapasya in the midst of the forest. I think someone has done mischief to that kind ascetic, blazing with fire, and therefore we are overcome with this disease. The high-souled aged son of Brigu has become specifically proficient at his asceticism and has become supreme. I think someone must have injured him. Though I do not know who is this mischievous person that has shown in contempt or like that, this, our state at present, clearly shows that this is the fit punishment of that." Hearing this, the soldiers said, "None of us have committed any mischief by word, mind, or body. We know this very well." Here ends the 2nd chapter, the 7th book of the piercing of the eyes of Chirvana Muni in the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapurana of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.